Hey, I am back. It's been a busy week, but keeping it consistent. Now, let's talk a little more about FATF and their work in relation to recommendations 24 and 25. Now, I have quite a bit of a track record with this particular recommendation. And the reason being is that my regulatory career, most of it was spent in relation to supervising trust and corporate services providers. And fun fact, if you didn't know, the British Virgin Islands is one of the few jurisdictions that has been regulating this sector prudentially and for amlcft supervision for about 40 years or more. So there's that. And I've also been on some FATF working groups, so it's a space I definitely follow. So there have been some revisions to legal persons and legal arrangements, and I'll put some links in the description to this video. And those revisions help to clarify, drilling down to beneficial ownership and control of legal persons, which are companies or partnerships, and legal arrangements, which are trusts or similar structures. Now, why is this important? Because companies and trust structures are used to help conceal ill-gotten money, so illicit financing, financial crime, fraud, corruption, and the list can go on. And there is a lot of discussion around transparency and companies and beneficial ownership registries. Now, I find it to be one of the discussion points that can sometimes be triggering because there's a lot of misinformation out there in relation to the British Virgin Islands. Do your own due diligence. But back to FATF. Now, they have clarified the recommendations, and it is requiring all jurisdictions to make sure that they have systems in place to make sure that those who incorporate or form legal persons and legal arrangements are collecting that information and updating it on a regular basis. But not just collecting, verifying as well. And then you have to drill a bit more deeply to make sure that you understand who actually controls it. And you might be thinking, well, Simone, a company would have its directors, a partnership, its partners, a trust would have trustees and beneficiaries, or, and if you get really deep into the space, there are enforcers and protectors and all sorts of people. But sometimes you can have a lot of arrangements in there where the beneficial owner is not the person controlling the activities. So this is why it's important, because you could have what is termed as straw men or front men, get somebody to front for you, and it's not to say that having, say, a nominee shareholder arrangement is a bad thing. See, in many common law jurisdictions, I think most, but can't fact check that. But in many common law jurisdictions, minor children cannot own shares in a company directly. So what do? You have a nominee arrangement because you want the child to have benefit of the assets and, the revenues from that company as they go on. You put that in a trust fund. And so it can get complex, but there are legitimate reasons for some of these things to be done. And it's to make sure that the service providers who engage with their clients who are seeking these structures are doing so for legitimate purposes and not to further financial crime, terrorist activity, proliferation financing, and more. It's a definite interesting space. Let me know if you're interested in hearing more, because it's something I know a lot about. And I will be back soon with more compliance tips, insights, and my views on the development in the fintech space.